my digital photographer.
Okay.
Aren't both of those at the same time extremely early when Sold in a Snap became part of my life. But I know it was part of my life when I started the curve upward to become a success.
For your staging part of it, why did you think at some point in time, I need to be more intentional with my staging?
This is Spilling the Realty, a podcast by Sold in a Snap.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Spilling the Realty, a podcast by Sold in a Snap. I am your host, Eric Johnson, and today we're going to be talking about staging, service, and sweat, the secrets of a high-producing agent. So, ever wonder how some agents seem to have listings that just fly off the market? Well, spoiler alert, it's not luck. It's planning with purpose that sells, service that sticks, and a whole lot of hustle behind the scenes. Today, we're diving into real-world strategies top agents use to turn effort into income. Today's episode of Spilling the Realty podcast is sponsored by Sold in a Snap. Sold in a Snap is Central Texas's premier real estate photography and marketing company, helping agents look incredible, stand out from their competition, and grow their business. We provide photos, tours, video, and marketing, everything that you need to market yourself and your listings with ease. We're leading the world in real estate tech, backed by all 5-star reviews, and we're different on purpose because your success is our mission. Want to save time while your clients and dominate the market? Visit soldinasnap.com and see how Sold in a Snap can elevate your business or your listing today. Hey, everybody, we're super excited to have our guest today, Jimmy Ashby. Jimmy, thank you so much for being on with us.
It's an honor.
Yeah, well, Jimmy, now you are one of our kind of top agents in Central Texas, and we're super excited to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of what defines your success. But before we get into all that, tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got into real estate, where you're at right now, maybe a little bit about your brokerage. Let's get into it.
Real estate is actually a passion for me. I've had the passion since I was probably 16 years old, and I would help my sister and my brother-in-law. We would actually build homes from the dirt up. Actually loving homes and watching the process go from the ground to the finish was exciting for me.
Yeah.
And so it's always been something that was in my it was in my blood, but I didn't realize it was in my blood until I turned 50.
Okay.
And at 50, I had a change of life that said, you better do some things that you really want to do, that you're passionate about, or just stay in the lane. And I decided I was going to get out of the lane. And 2 of my grown kids went with me and we got real estate licenses.
Yeah. So this must have been like, what, the last year or so? You said 50. So yeah, just to, yeah.
Hurry.
Yeah. Okay. So
Thank you. But
yeah. Okay. So, you decided to go, get into it a little bit later in life. You said 50 but it had been in your blood. You had kind of mentioned that it's something that you always kind of had your eyes on, but really just wanted to be intentional about it a little bit later. And you said you brought the family into it too. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I brought my 2 grown sons into the business with me. I now, 2 of us actually work hand in hand on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. My grown son is actually my broker.
Oh, wow.
I work for my son or underneath my son's license, however people want to reflect on that. Ashby Real Estate Group.
Let's rewind a little bit more. So you get into real estate when you're 50, and how did that first initial grind feel? Like, were you like, I kind of know what I'm doing, maybe I don't necessarily know what I'm doing, I wanted to build or I wanted to sell? Like, what was your initial passions?
In real estate, you do not know what you're doing when you get into real estate. You pass an extremely hard test, and then they throw you to the wolves. So everything you learn is learned through trial and error, and mostly error, and you hope that you don't hurt a client in that process.
Yeah. And did you want to start with building homes or like be a part of that process? Or did you just want to start with like, I'm going to start in a space that says I'm going to find, clients and then help them, find homes, their forever homes or maybe temporary homes or whatever. Like, where did you have something that pushed you in a direction initially?
Well, my initial direction was the part that I like to look at homes.
Yeah.
I like to be a buying agent.
Oh, yeah.
It gives me the opportunity to continue to look at homes. And then I really feel a need that I'm helping you make probably the most financial decision of your life.
Okay.
So it's kind of a twofold. One, I get to go look at homes. Two, I get to actually help someone where they need help.
Yeah. So we talked about, today there's no secret here. You have put in the work. So what does that work look like? Getting yourself off your feet, from the get-go. But when did you find that early success? Was it, 6 months into it, a year into it? Like, how did you start to feel that stride?
My success came probably about a year and a half after becoming a realtor.
Yeah.
I learned the importance of the staging, and I learned the importance of my digital photographer.
Okay.
Learned both of those at the same time extremely early. I don't remember when Soul in the Snap became part of my life, but I know it was part of my life when I started the curve upward to become a success.
Okay. For your staging part of it, why did you think at some point in time, I need to be more intentional with my staging? Like, was there just homes that you would go into and say, oh my gosh, like, this is a disaster. We need to be more intentional with this place. Or did it just kind of happen naturally? Or was there like a aha moment?
Anytime I go into any home or any space, in my mindset, I'm always looking at the home and moving parts around or aspects of the house, just anything to do with that house. Just like today when I came into this studio, you notice the first thing I went to was the oven.
Yeah.
How is this working out?
Yeah.
Etc.
Yeah.
That's just part of the passion part of it.
Yeah.
The staging part of it, as a realtor, I realized early on there's over 650 realtors just in the Temple market.
Wow.
I needed to do something that was, what can I offer my clients that's going to stand out?
Yeah.
And make me different than the other agents. And that was when staging came in.
Okay. So your first house, you're looking at possible staging with this one. Like, is it a house that's vacant? Was there stuff there already? Did you have to work around the owner's knickknacks and stuff like that? What did that feel like?
So my first home was a new build.
Yeah.
Many builders do not ask realtors their opinion on layout before they build the home. And so in my early stages of a realtor to gain buyers, I would go sit in a tract home and try to sell it.
Yeah.
While I was sitting in the home, not only did I realize the layout was horrible, in my opinion, so did everyone that came in when I asked them, why aren't you buying your home?
What's wrong with
They
this?
couldn't figure out the layout in the living room.
Yeah.
And that was when I encouraged the broker that was actually over the listing, hey, can we stage this home?
Yeah. Because I think sometimes that, there, especially with vacant homes, people don't see that vision. They don't have that vision of what it could be, and so you in this space trying to do a new build and convincing somebody that this might be a good home, like, show me the money, right?
Yeah.
Show me the house, show me the comfort, show me how I could live here.
When you're used to being in a home as many times as what I'm in a home on a daily basis, I can see past the deficiencies in the layout. Most clients cannot see the deficiencies, nor can the buying agents see the deficiencies, how I can correct this layout or maybe take the odd layout and turn it into something awesome. So staging changes all of that.
So let's get a little bit deeper into staging itself. You had mentioned that this is a tool that you use quite a bit to help somebody visualize what the home could be. Do you have all your own stuff? Do you rent stuff? How does somebody go about starting their staging game?
So inside my office, any realtor can use any of my staging furniture as long as they help participate in the staging of their client's home. They need to be involved hands-on just like I am.
Yeah.
The advantage to staging is not only the aspect of being able to show buyers whenever they come into the home how the home can be utilized when they were to move in as far as layout and even aesthetics. It also gives me or affords me the opportunity to connect or bond to that home.
Yeah.
Many of my clients that have used me for years, they call me a house whisperer because when I'm staging the home, you start figuring out, oh, this is awkward. Oh, that's not That's
that's
not cool.
let
That's
them be
really a
yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
It even affords me the opportunity to remember that's a brand new air conditioner in the closet. It affords me the availability to say, hey, that house has a brand new stove because I have spent already 2 hours at a minimum inside their home staging it.
Yeah.
So actually, I become more connected with the home than just an agent that lists the house.
I mean, arguably, you've moved in and out of more homes than almost anybody in Central Texas. Yeah. So, okay, so I'm a new realtor and I'm starting to, pull together some stuff for my staging. And how much should I have? How much do you have?
On my staging, I have enough furniture to do 7 homes.
7?
I will the living room, the primary bedroom, the primary bathroom, and the dining room, and the kitchen.
What don't I stage? What wouldn't I stage?
I don't really necessarily care about staging the kids' bedrooms
Okay.
unless there's an aspect to that room. If I want to show the room as an office, not a bedroom, I'll bring in a desk or an office with a computer on the top to show people, hey, this can be utilized as an office, not only a bedroom.
And what if I have you said you have up to 7 houses worth. And what if how do you manage that? I mean, that's like I can't imagine pulling stuff, do you just throw it in the back of the truck and take it to the house? Do you have a moving truck? What does that look like?
So my office is also allowed to have or utilize my moving truck for free. So is my clients.
Okay.
That to me, that was another one of those huge perks that you get for hiring Ashby Real Estate Group or T.
Yeah.
The furniture goes from house to house. I don't actually store it in a storeroom.
Really?
It goes from one home to the other, and I'm blessed enough that I don't have to put it into a storage room. I have enough homes and new clients that it goes from one house to the other.
Well, now that's interesting. So, and of course, not everybody will have that. Maybe you may have to get some kind of small storage or something like that, or have an office that would be able to facilitate some extra stuff there. So you said kids' rooms you wouldn't stage. What about the outside? Do you have stuff that you would stage a deck or so outdoor furniture, any of that stuff?
A lot of it you can do even from your own home.
Yeah.
So many times my wife will say, hey, we just got that brand new patio furniture and you already took it over to a client's house. So I said, well, we got to do what we got to do.
Yeah.
And that's just part of my commitment as being a realtor, that I will take stuff from my own home.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I find stuff on sale, I'll just go ahead and buy it knowing I can use it later on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost a whole lot to go buy a plastic Adirondack chair to put around clients' fire pits, knowing that it's light, it's easy to move, and it gives the visual of the actual fire pit where they can see themselves sitting around the fire pit. So a lot of times it's not really expensive or how much of it I do. You can do all of it on a budget or on the cheap.
So have you ever had a situation where, you're showing this home and you've got it staged real nice and the client's like, oh man, I really like that couch. Have you ever parted ways with any of your staging stuff because they just were so drawn to whatever it was that you brought in?
So usually that comes into aspects with my artwork.
Yeah.
And so if it is a special client and they do show a bond with my artwork, I will let them have the artwork, usually for free. But it has to be there needs to be a bond there between me and the client.
Yeah.
So if it's something like that, then I will.
Okay, I want to give it to you. I want you to have this. I think, this is my way of saying welcome home. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, it's my way of telling you goodbye because I just sold your house. It works in and
For sure.
Yes. And that's another part of when you say, Jimmy, hey, why do you stage a home, or why do you do this, or why do I do that? I don't give you a thank you gift at the closing.
Yeah.
Because I earned it and I already gave it to you during the process.
Yeah.
I gave you 110%. So that 10% extra that I gave you is your closing gift.
Yeah. That's cool. I love that. Now, do you ever just do staging for you had mentioned another big part of your success is your digital photography, having people come in and take beautiful pictures of your homes. Do you ever just stage for the pictures and then pull things out, or when you stage, they're there until that house is sold?
The staging is there until I feel the need that it needs to go.
Okay.
So that's why I don't rent a warehouse.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll come in and literally you'll take the pictures in the morning. And once those pictures are taken, it goes into the truck. I run it over to the next house, unload it, and I have an afternoon shoot with Selden and Stapp.
Yeah.
So I have a photo shoot at 8 o'clock. Same furniture appears in another home at 4 o'clock.
This is what I love so much about you. And, we have a dedicated temple photographer now that I know you know very well. But the thing that I have always really loved about you is how much you care about people.
Yes.
And that's something that, I think if anybody's listening to this podcast that is struggling out there, like, your relationship with your client is everything. And I think that for you, you're doing everything that you can to make sure that they're set up for success, one way or another. And you're following up. I mean, even with us, I was out doing a shoot with you, I don't know, last year at some point, and I've got this Mercedes that, you have these properties that on these big properties that on this acreage, and I'm driving down this big muddy driveway, and I always pull over to the side so that if somebody needs to come past me, they can. So I pull over, not thinking too much of it. We do our shoot. You're helping me. I think your son was there, and I go to leave, and you guys are loading up the truck. You probably were putting stuff in the truck to take out. And as you were about to leave, I got into my car and wheels started spinning. And, I knew you had stuff to do, but you stopped, you came, and, we jammed boards and all kinds of stuff under my tires just so I could get free. And that was the first shoot I ever had with you. I felt stupid. What an idiot. This city boy coming into this country house with his Mercedes, not prepared. But I remember, like, I could never thank you enough for that moment, because that just small impact on me was everything. And I know that's how you approach all the things that you do, and I know more than anything, more than the staging, more than all that, it's your heart, for your clients that really makes you successful.
Well, and to be honest with you, it does. And that goes back to my raising. Yeah. So I was raised, you get back what you give.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I've always gotten back multitudes more than I ever gave.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's just part of it.
Well, and I agree with that. And I think, again, it's a great lesson. It's a space where, if somebody is struggling and maybe, you're trying to figure out as a realtor, why can't I get my footing? Think about your relationships with your clients. Like, how are you communicating? What are the extra effort types of things that you're doing to either get a house sold or to get a buyer into a house? Like, what are these things that are, you're missing?
And so that's a good lead in. And I learned it very on. There's different times when my skill set will be needed. At the very beginning, I do it as much of it as what I can, which includes staging the home, and then once I stage it, going back to marketing. And I am not shy one bit that I tell my clients, I will be using digital photography. This home will look like the husband and wife team from Waco, Texas, when they left the house. I will do everything that I can do when your home goes online into the World Wide Web, that it looks the best that it can.
Yeah.
And then once I've done that aspect of the home, then my negotiating skills and my commitment to my clients, which means I have to live by my phone pretty much 24/7.
Yeah.
I don't know if the camera and the speakers are picking up, but my phone's going off. Like every 30 seconds it's going off.
Yeah.
Normally that's how many calls I would be taking to make sure, if it's someone wanting to look at one of my listings, asking a question about one of my listings, and it's usually the buying agents, that I need to make sure that I'm selling them or enabling them to help me sell that home.
Yeah. Well, and again, you're probably like sitting here all anxious because there's 72 people that are trying to get a hold of you right now. And you're gonna come off the podcast and be like, oh my gosh, I missed all these things, but
you do have to walk away from your phone.
Yeah.
But I mean, once you do the staging and the professional photography and it goes into the websites, I've done a lot right then.
Yeah.
If you don't appreciate what I've done at that point, I don't know how much more anyone can do. And then after that, then it goes back to my communication with the buying agents and the actual seller themselves, keeping them engaged as to what's going on with your house.
And, that like goes right back into like, you're always on it, and that actually is like such a telling part of you. I mean, I've been to some of your shoots where you're, finishing up out there, you're mowing the lawn, doing the landscaping. You've gone into homes, you're cleaning homes for people. Maybe there's some little pieces that they forgot to do, or maybe instructions that you gave them. But your biggest thing is like, I need to be who I can be for this family and get this either house sold, bought, whatever it takes. Like
my sellers and myself, but we become a team.
Yeah.
And so my job is to lead the team, and the lead the team means to get it sold.
Yeah.
And so whether you call it get it sold in a snap or get it sold in 90 days, I don't care.
Yeah.
My commitment is to get the home sold and not to fuss. Well, the client left me a dump today.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. You leave me a dump. But by the time the photographer gets there, and many times with the photographer's help, that home is going to appear online as perfect as what I possibly can make it. And that, again, is your commitment and your teamwork with the seller to get the home sold.
Well, and I mean, you make a good point there. Like, there's times where we'll come to these properties and maybe it's not quite there, and we'll, stop everything we're doing. Let's get the house ready. Like, if we're going to come out and do a shoot, let's make this home beautiful. And I know that you feel the exact same way, and this is how we build, tight teams, in Central Texas.
That was a team aspect. Yeah. Again, yesterday, to sold a snap photographer, I was behind, and I don't mind telling you I'm behind.
Yeah.
And all I can do is apologize. And then I handed him a hammer and a nail, and I said, put it there, put it there, put it there, put it there.
Yeah.
And it took 20 minutes out of his schedule.
Yeah.
But there was no copying or no nothing. It's like, Jimmy, how can I help you?
Yeah.
And let's get this thing, get it online.
Do you ever have any situations where buyers are really pushing back? Like, no, I don't want you to do this. I want this home to be what it is, and that's just it.
Well, on the selling side, I do have to have your permission on the selling side to allow me to do that.
Yeah.
But if you don't want me to do it, that's, I've spoke my piece and then I move on.
Yeah.
But I've never had anyone that did not want the opportunity for me to stage their home.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it makes sense. I mean, you know what you're doing. If you're a client out there that's looking for a realtor to represent you, you want Jimmy. Like, you want somebody that's going to work hard for you.
That's going to be dedicated to not only the brain, but the muscle. And well, that's
and the look,
Well, I don't know if the looks.
Yeah.
With me, you get the muscle, and then later on, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I do have a team that whenever we talk amongst ourselves to make sure we're doing the most in the benefit for our client. How can we handle this when we get our offer, when we're getting showings? I tell everyone, my job is to get the buyer and the buying agent through that front door.
Yeah.
And many of the buying agents, they will actually call or text me, hey, Jimmy, kudos to you. You did an extremely good job on that home.
Yeah.
And what they're telling me is the home probably, when they got there, did not look quite as sweet as what it looked online, but they understand that's my job.
Yeah.
And, and to the people that have the mindset, well, he's lying or he's misleading. Well, you go ask my seller to explain that to you.
Yeah.
I've done my job. My job is to get the buyer and the buying agents into that home.
Yeah.
And then I can negotiate the deficiencies that maybe did not show up in the pictures.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I think transparency just in general is kind of key here, right? If you're representing a seller and they're, not wanting to move, like, you've got to come out and say, look, here's the deal. If you want this house to go, we need to get to work. Have you ever had to crack the whip and be like, let's go?
Well, there's been enough on HGTV that you almost pretty much just have to live in a shell. not to realize what is expected from you.
Yeah.
But in today's world, clients don't have the time. Luckily for me, I'm past my busyness, maybe with what you would say a traditional family.
Sure.
My kids are all mostly grown. I can afford to have more time than what most agents can afford. And of course, I'm a man, so I don't have to, that cuts down my workload 50% right there by just being a man.
Yeah.
A man realtor has it 50% easier and more room than a female realtor. So I can devote more time to my clients on doing the actual muscle work that many times they don't have the money or the time or any of it to put forth.
Because if you see a problem, you can just take care of it for the most part.
I give them, is this okay with what I do?
Yeah.
Is this going to be okay with you if I do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
And then I put my hand out for them to give me the key.
And they don't push back all that often, I'm assuming. Like if they trust you and you're like, look, like, let me get this done for you. We need to get this house sold.
It's not going to trust me to do my job. I don't want that client.
Yeah.
And I have very few times, but there has been a couple of times that I actually fired myself.
Yeah.
And said it's not
a good match.
It's me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm never going to blame it on you. It's me. I'm not gelling with you, but most of my clients, the reason they hire me is because they know they're going to get the full deal. They're going to get the sweat equity, and they're going to get the equity in the end, and they're also going to get performance.
Yeah. So you've mentioned a lot about, you're physically out there. I know that you're working hard. Let's talk about like your mentality going into some of these things. Like, do you have a design? Do you feel like you have a design focused brain that you can see colors and patterns and like this would go good there? Or is it just like the amount of houses you've staged, you're just good at it now? Like, have you ever felt like, I have a leg up because of my design, brain?
Well, yes and no. A lot of times, like I said before, the more you're into the house, you become connected to the home. And I can see the home from my buyer's eyes and from what I see when I'm looking online, that would have been, I can make this look better online.
Yeah.
By doing this, that, and others.
Yeah.
All that comes, does not play every time.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I get my furniture into a house, I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I will bring in my designer. I'll bring in a designer, and the designer will professionally put everything in the house where it belongs for me. And I'll come back 2 hours later and go, oh my.
This is exactly what I wanted.
Well, exactly what I wanted, but it is not the house that I left.
Okay.
Because it looks so good.
Yeah.
So not all of what you see is just me. I mean, sometimes I have a designer come in and do it for me.
Yeah. Tell me about the designer. Do you have somebody on speed dial? Do you somebody that works for the brokerage?
I have a family member that is sweat equity trained. I'm being a designer.
Awesome.
And she has a great art, and I trust her just like I trust, I don't hang around people that I don't trust.
Yeah.
So she comes in, and when she really doesn't like me to be in the house necessarily. Sometimes we argue about furniture placement.
Yeah.
So I will leave and come back 2 hours later, and the house is beautiful when I come back.
Yeah.
So that's
great. What an asset.
When I say I stage for free, that's part of my free staging.
So Jimmy, we talked about sweat, we talked about service, and we talked about staging. These are some big things that we want to hit on today. And I really appreciate, your transparency, your ability to kind of show like how you've been successful. And honestly, I think at the end of the day, the sweat is really what gets it. Of course the staging, but that comes with sweat. The service is, mental sweat. There's a lot that goes into that. But, as we kind of wind down the today's episode, what do you want our listeners to take away with? What are something that you can give them, on their way out?
The biggest aspect to me is the teamwork aspect. Not necessarily, what does Jimmy do that's different than everyone else? The aspect to me is teamwork. I want to be a team player with my seller.
Yeah.
I want to be a team player with my stager, with my staging, with my designer. I want to be a team player with the photographer that's actually coming on site.
Yeah.
I always stay with the photographers, especially if my time will allow, because there's certain angles that I might want added into there. I can always get rid of photos that I don't like, but it's costs money and your time to come back in. So I always like that. It's teamwork all the way through, all the way down to the buying agent.
Yeah.
I better have a team rapport with that buying agent. It's not only just about how much money can I make for my seller. It's also the aspect, we're here to sell your home. If we got your home priced right, and I've done everything in my heart that I can do to sell your home, at that home, the home has to help me sell itself, but also I have to be a team player with that buying agent also, and arm them or give them the ability to help me land that buyer to buy that home.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a great segue. I mean, teamwork has to be in play. You know, if you're in it on your own and you think you're going to succeed, you've got another thing coming. So I really appreciate that. And Jimmy, thank you so much for being on the podcast. We really appreciate your time. This week's tip of the week: top producers are not lucky. They are consistent. Build systems for marketing, follow-up, and service, and success stops being a guessing game. Once again, Jimmy, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. Jimmy Ashby from the Ashby Real Estate Group. Thank you so much. And you guys, if you want to connect with Jimmy, we're going to be putting his information down in the show notes below. And we do encourage you to connect with him for any of your real estate needs. Once again, we want to thank Sold and Snap for being this week's Spilling the Realty podcast sponsor. Sold and Snap is Central Texas's premier real estate photography and marketing company, helping agents look incredible, stand out from the competition, and grow their business. We provide photos, tours, video, and marketing, everything that you need to market yourself and your listings with ease. Want to save time, wow your clients, and dominate the market? Visit soldandsnap.com and see how Sold and Snap can elevate your business or your listing today. Thanks for listening to Spilling the Realty. If you got some value from today's episode, give us a like, follow, and share it with somebody in real estate who needs to hear it. Catch every new drop of real tea right here every week.
And that's today's pour. Thanks for spilling the real tea with us. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next hot pour of real estate talk. And remember, this is just the tea, not legal, real estate, or financial advice.